Thank you so much.
Perfect. So thank you everybody for joining the event, and thanks a lot to our colleagues in Master Team for organizing this event. So my slides is a quick introduction to you about what should you have in a smart city. Your smart city is a living object. Once you start it, you will really be living with it. So it will grow with you. Number of people will increase in the city. Number of urban areas will increase. District areas will increase. The use cases that you need to prepare for the people living in your city would always increase and change. And this is why you should also enhance the applications in your city, update it regularly. uh, for you to be able to do this, you need to have IoT labs for the city to be able to innovate new use cases or verify updates and the changes to the applications and the scenarios, as well as having these labs to train your staff that will manage the city, will operate the city, will help the people living in the city to get their services done and achieved. Very quick information about us. In Spine Sense Labs, we have been into this business for more than 7 years, almost 8 years now. We started back in late 2013. We've been into this journey with local innovations in Egypt and Cairo until we grow up being selling our applications and use cases to our partners in Sigfox network worldwide. Uh, we're also recognized as one of the best application enablement platforms worldwide. This has been recognized by Mesh Nation. It's a consulting company that study application enablement platforms. You will find us in their 2021 reports and also their recent report on 2022. You will find us uh, as one of the best platform providers. We're also provider for uh, Orange as a platform provider. We are also very well known when it comes to IoT Labs for cities, innovation and training. That's what we are going to show you. Did we practice some of these use cases in smart cities? Do we have it? Do we deliver it? Yes, we've delivered it in different areas in the world, and we're very much delivering it in Egypt for sure. Uh, you can find now smart transportation stations in Upper Egypt cities. We have 10 IoT use cases working for this smart transportation. And this is where your labs will also help you to keep innovating, keep updating. Okay, if I'm going to focus on the smart city business for the IoT use cases, what would be those use cases? Use cases would usually be street lighting, parking management, waste management, transportation management, and so on. Cities are very well known to have at least 13 use cases. On top of those mandatory 13, there are other use cases as optional, but none of the cities will not enjoy one of the 13. None of the cities can live without parking management application. None of the cities can survive without waste management. None of the cities can survive without transportation management. So at least you will have 13 use cases, and those use cases will be regularly updated and regularly maintained with new features, new capabilities. You need to verify these features, these capabilities, before delivering it to the live environment inside the city. So you should have your lab to verify the environment that will be delivered to your citizens in the city. Not just for verification, this is a very basic utilization of the lab, but more into innovating in new use cases, mixing use cases together to bring in new value out of the data collected from your city devices, offering new opportunities to your people living in your city. Additionally, you train your city management staff, the city operation team, using those labs. So the labs are supposed to have all the IoT value chain components from the devices used in your city, parking management devices, smart metering devices, street lighting devices, waste management, and so on, as well as the communication wireless technologies that will be serving the communication from these devices, transferring the data from these devices, spreading in your cities, in your streets, taking the data from the devices through wireless communication, transferring it to the cloud where you have your city management and city operation center running on top of an application enablement platform. So your labs should have the devices, the wireless communication technologies. Some of them would require uh, gateways, wireless gateways, depending on the wireless technology used. Some of them will not require a gateway. Those are the carrier network type of communication networks like Sigfox, like 4G, 5G networks, narrowband IoT networks, satellite networks. Those are the carrier networks. Those would be serving the whole city, including your lab. So those will provide coverage for you in the lab as well. Additionally, you can have your application enablement platform that is running all the applications. So all your city management applications, lighting, parking, waste, transportation, and so on, running on top of an application enablement platform. So in your lab, you should also have an application enablement platform version in parallel to the live version, one that you can use inside the lab as well. So the lab should have all these components together. What type of labs you can have? You can have very advanced labs or intermediate or even very basic ones. So you can have a very basic lab, we call it mobile IoT lab. That's where you can have very basic functionality of what you're offering in your city, simulation maquettes of your city. So you have a large maquette of your city so you can see it uh, in a small environment as if you are walking in the streets of the city, or you can have it in the expert lab level. This is the actual devices used in the lab, and this is a larger area uh, where you have a small, very micro version of your city, maybe over 100 square meters. So you simulate all the use cases in this area for innovation and training purposes as well. Additionally, you can have your premium lab, which can be much larger, that could have small streets to also run and execute some of the use cases, especially those ones for self-driving cars. So you're actually building a very small version of your city in a lab, and that small version can be either the micro one or the expert one, which is a little bit bigger with actual use cases, or a little bit bigger as well, where you can have uh, surrounding area around the lab with streets where self-driving cars will be going back and forth. So you to test simulate the new use cases, verify the use cases for the self-driving as well. When it comes to the very basic level, this is where you should have your end user will always be having their mobile phone, and the city devices, would it be lighting, parking, or waste, those are a mixed set of sensors and actuators. So those are the two main components you should have. And the third main component is the platform running all the applications, hosting the applications, running it on top of the platform. This is usually running on the cloud. So those are the very basic components. This is the very basic level of lab you should have. We call it a mobile IoT lab because it's really a very small one. In a much more advanced level of labs, you should have much more components and devices. Your labs should also be equipped with not just the devices and communication gateways, but also training the programs and certification programs that you should run for the people managing your city. You should make sure that they are certified, well prepared to interact with your end users, well prepared to interact with your applications running the city in different situations, in the different situations that they will be facing in the city. So you train them on all those situations and you get them certified to be an operator in the city. A city operator is a person that is running a specific use case or managing a specific use case for the people living in the city, like the guys managing the transportation. So those guys who would be managing the transportation facilities, what they should learn, what they should do, that's what they will practice inside the lab before going to the live environment, interacting with the people. This is what we call the mobile. So it has your mobile end user mobile applications where you test all the applications in the city with all the sensors available in the phone. So you can utilize the end user phone, the sensors and actuators to interact with the person having the mobile. This will help you to offer services in your city that is much more advanced rather than using the mobile as a tool to interact with the city, but also a tool for the city to interact with the end user. A set of sensors and actuators to simulate different use cases in the city. This is very primitive setup. We call it uh, the very, very basic level. This is where you start innovating new ideas. You have also access to the application enablement platform where you can practice building dashboards, building graphs and statistics out of the data collected from different items in the city, building new use cases, new applications in the city. The advanced level, let me jump quickly to that one, where you will also have administration interfaces to manage the end user access rights to different services in the city, end user access rights to different facilities in the city. So you manage your city users, what they can do, what they can see, what they are allowed to do and what not, from an application perspective. So who from your end users can access the parking management application? Do you offer it with a subscription based? Do you offer subscription based services for the transportation? This is where you manage your end users in the city here. When it comes to the second level of the labs, this is where you actually have the actual city devices. So if you have parking management solution in the city, you have parking sensors in the streets. These are the actual parking sensors. You could also have it in your lab to verify it, try it, test it, test the interaction with it. Let your operators get trained in the lab. Let your university students start innovating new use cases based on those devices that are spreading in your city. You bring samples of these devices inside the lab for the university students to start innovating new use cases and new ideas. Those students today who are actually the citizens living in your city today, and they will be the citizen living in your city for the next 20, 30 years. Those are the ones who can enlarge, empower, increase the capabilities of your cities. And they will do this if they have their hands-on competence built up inside these labs to be able to envision what they need to have in their city in the near future, not just what you're offering now. And these labs will have the devices, the wireless communication technologies, the different alternatives of wireless communication technologies, even if those technologies are not used inside their city. But you need to have them in the lab to be able to see what these technologies will be able to offer you other than what you have. So you don't know what you are missing unless you have these wireless technologies and innovation kits as well as the commercial devices inside these labs. Uh, these labs will have lots of samples from all the devices that you're using in your city, but you can also have additional devices uh, that are planned for new services in your city. So if your city is just starting with a parking and waste management, you should also have metering, smart meters, smart pools inside your lab to be able to see what you will be doing as a next step. The next step services, you have it in your lab in a much more earlier stage to verify it, test it, get acquainted with it, and know what you can do with it in the future. These are how the labs looks like. These are practical labs that we had. We have set up these labs in 10 different locations, serving 10 different cities, or actually preparing 10 different cities to be smart cities with these labs as the first step. So your IoT lab or your smart city IoT lab is actually step number zero. If you're planning a smart city, you should first thing to do is bring a smart city IoT lab. See what you need to plan your city for. See the devices, interact with it, see the actual use cases, interact with the applications. Plan your city by first step having your lab as number one. These are screenshots from one of the labs we have in a smart village in Egypt, in Cairo. We also have some videos that are available on our booth and Mast booth. So please visit our booth on Mast platform and see how the lab looks like. What are the use cases that you can build and try and verify uh, before having it in your city. As I said, your lab, the first level of the lab should at least have your planned city. How does it look like? And what would be the services? And these are actual live maquettes that you can try and innovate and play with and interact with some of the components of the city. The next level of that is to have your actual city environment where you have also small streets around the lab for verifying services like transportation management or self-driving. So we set up these labs usually in three levels. One that is just for education and innovation. The other one is much more complex. It is offering much more capabilities for the city. The third one is actually a much smaller city with actual streets for self-driving cars and transportation facilities to be going around, and actual street lighting poles, actual irrigation management system, actual uh, traffic management systems installed, so you can verify it, test it, and play with it before putting it in a live environment with your citizens. Hope you had these labs. We had these labs, as I said, in different locations. We also train people how to develop applications and get them in even students and universities how to develop the smart city use cases and applications. We deliver these trainings in different areas of the world. So we're also very much happy to help you and your smart city planning activities. Again, please visit our booth on Must platform. And if you have any questions, I'm very much willing to take it.
Thank
Okay.
you so much, Bassam, for this presentation where you went through many, explanation, use cases, and product. Really appreciate it. I have a couple of questions for you. First one, who are your customers? Who are really buying those product and implementing those product from you for the time being?
Okay, when it comes to our products, we have products for the city municipalities, where those are our customers, the city municipality itself,
Mm-hmm.
planning their city. How does the city work? They buy some applications from us, but we also offer these labs for educational institutions, universities. Lots of those are actually buying the labs. So the IoT labs are more sold to university and high tech institutions and city municipalities who plan their cities for the future.
Okay, thank you so much. The second question is what is the technology selection process for smart city in Egypt?
Okay, so today in Egypt, we're very much relying on, if you're asking about the use cases, the
Yeah.
use cases planned for the new capital. In Egypt, we're planning for a new capital. We call it new administrative capital. And in this city, we will have waste management, street lighting, parking management, transportation management as the basic services. This is the launch of the new capital. The launch is planned in a couple of months from now. So all these services are actually up and running. But on the contrary of the new capital, we also have the brown environment where we have those legacy existing cities. We're also smartening them. So we have this smart transportation management system is now being launched in different cities in Egypt. We have it in in a famous city. We call it Fayoum city. This is one from the very old cities from the Pharaoh's time. So we're now updating this with a new transportation management for smart stations. We have 10 use cases for this. Uh, Cars, serving cars, transportation cars can enter the serving station through an access management system. The lighting inside the station is actually managed remotely from the cloud. Digital signage solutions, waste management solutions. We have 10 use cases in every smart station. When it comes to the wireless technologies, today we have 3G, 4G, we have Bluetooth Low Energy is one of the regulatory authority approved wireless technologies. The regulatory authority has also launched a new regulations with a new license available for low power one. This should include LoRaWAN. It could also include Sigfox. There is also an option for low power satellite communication as well. These are available licenses for communication companies to start applying for these licenses to offer it as a services to the city later on.
Thank you so much, Bassam, for
Thank
being with
you.
us and answering to all our questions. We will stay in Egypt and we will go from the and